ETH 2.0 is set to launch this September, but is it going to be as smooth sailing as we think? There are rumors of a potential fork. In this video, I'm going to go over the different types of forks and how you can capitalize on this opportunity. In today's KuCoin DigiDive, I'm going to be going over what a fork is, why we may be having a fork, what this means for Ethereum, how you can protect your assets, and how you can capitalize on the opportunity. Make sure you guys subscribe to the KuCoin YouTube channel. That way you guys are staying up to date every time in the market. If you guys want 20% off trading fees, click the link in the description below. You guys will get 20% off trading fees. First off, what the fork is a fork? Fork occurs when there's a conflict on the blockchain. Blockchains have a set of rules that move memory between the networks, and these miners understand the rules. So in order for there to be a blockchain, all of these miners need to agree about these rules. So when someone wants to change these rules, you need to fork it. This can be either a soft fork or a hard fork. This basically indicates that there is a change to occur inside the protocol. After this happens, the developers update the software and then the new rules are reflected on the chain. If everything goes kosher, everyone agrees with it, you have a soft fork and you end up just having one chain. However, if there is a disagreement and you have the community divided where some people are like, hey, no, this is our chain, or hey, no, this is our chain. This is when you have a hard fork and it splits up into two different chains. So here's a chart of Bitcoin Cash. This is one of the most well-known forks in Bitcoin's history. This fork basically happened when the community was divided on how large the Bitcoin block space should be. This was mainly to improve the scalability of the chain. As you can see here, to date, it's not even worth 1/100th of a Bitcoin. When there was a disagreement between the community, the resolution was to hard fork, which would be splitting into two separate chains, Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin. When you split it into two chains like this, this allows the community to decide. So based on the price action, we see how this went. But what happens if you had 10 Bitcoin before this fork happened? Well, after the fork, you would get 10 Bitcoin and 10 Bitcoin Cash. So you basically have money on both chains now. I know what you're thinking. What? Free money? Well, yes and no. Just imagine if you thought the new upgrade with Bitcoin Cash was the way to go. So you sold all your Bitcoin and threw it into Bitcoin Cash. Well, you would be down over 99% to date compared to Bitcoin. Can I get a oof? But on the flip side, if you sold it all for Bitcoin, you could have basically doubled your Bitcoin stack. Now, this isn't the only fork. There were several of them. One was Bitcoin Gold, another was Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, there's Bitcoin X. There have been so many different forks in Bitcoin's history. Now let's go ahead and go back to Ethereum. Why may there be a fork on Ethereum? Well, this mainly has to do with the miners. Now here's a tweet from Chandler Guo. This is one of the guys who originally forked Ethereum in Ethereum Classic. He says, I fork Ethereum once, I will fork it again. Currently, the miners are all mining ETH for income. And after the merge, all of their GPU miners will now be giant paperweights. They will either need to find another chain for GPU mining, like ETH Classic, or if ETH Proof of Work comes, or the machines will just be used to weigh down some paper to keep it from flying away. Now you're probably thinking, wait, why don't they just go mine on Bitcoin and Litecoin? Well, here's the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum mining. Bitcoin mining uses a lot of ASICs, and these are manufactured solely for mining. So if you want to compete against those ASIC miners, it's not going to happen. That's like me trying to handwrite a book compared to a printer that can just go bang them out. Now, the GPU miners, which are used for Ethereum, these are normally used by both gamers and miners. So these are not specifically made for mining. So the GPUs can't simply go over to Bitcoin because from a profitability standpoint, it'll basically be like pouring money down a drain because it just cannot compete. Just like if you tried to mine Bitcoin today with your computer, you're competing against huge mining factories that, I hate to say it, but you have no chance. But you can increase your chances going into a mining pool. So now with a little bit of backstory on why there is a potential fork, what does this mean for ETH? Well, if there is a fork similar to Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, we will have two chains, a ETH proof of work and a ETH proof of stake. There could also be other forks as well. Now, if a fork does happen, if you don't do anything and just have your assets in your wallet, it will be a seamless process. You will basically have money on both chains and you don't have to do anything with it. You'll let the community decide and you won't lose or make money in this situation. You have money on this chain and money on this chain. If one of the chains ends up going to zero, well, no harm, no foul. I mean, it was free money anyways, right? However, if you want to capitalize on the opportunity, here are some things to consider and how you can protect yourself. Here's a tweet on how to protect your assets during the Ethereum merge. This is if there is a fork to occur. This is specifically for NFTs, so please keep this in mind. As you can see here, we could see a temporary period where you can sell ETH on two chains and both have value. So you'll have proof of work Bored Apes and proof of stake Bored Apes. Now, what you need to be careful of is replay attacks. This is how a replay attack can occur. If you don't transfer your assets to a fresh wallet on the ETH proof of work chain before you sell them, an attacker can replay the same transaction if the IDs match on the ETH proof of stake and they can take your assets. An example of what this would look like is if I accept a 1 ETH bid on a Bored Ape on the ETH proof of work chain, the attacker then can replay the transaction on the ETH proof of stake chain, and now he owns assets on both chains. So how would you protect yourself in this case? First, do not interact with the ETH proof of work chain. Second, if you do decide to interact with the ETH proof of work chain, create a new wallet address and then transfer the assets onto the proof of work chain into the new wallet. So this basically starts everything fresh. Now on the DeFi side, if a fork does occur, you want to manage your debt positions accordingly. If you have an open loan on Aave and there is a liquidation cascade due to some of the centralized stablecoins not being backed, I'll explain that more later in this video, then you could be liquidated and lose everything on the proof of work chain. The second thing to note is if you are providing liquidity for many of these tokens, and let's say for example you're paired with a centralized stablecoin, if this goes to zero because it's not really backed by anything, then you basically receive 100% in permanent loss and you lose everything. Now here's a little more on the comment I made about the centralized stablecoins with ETH proof of stake if there is a fork. As you can see here, Circle intends to fully and solely support the Ethereum proof of stake chain post-merge. This basically means all of the USDC that is on, well, the proof of work chain is worth zero because they cannot be redeemed and it is a centralized stablecoin. If a fork is to occur, I threw a bunch of different ways you guys can protect your assets and protect yourself and put yourself in the best situation when it occurs. So what are some strategies you can deploy to capitalize on something like this? The first is shorting STETH on the proof of work chain. If you don't know what STETH is the liquid staked Ethereum token. If this token is on proof of work chain, there is no utility to it. If you have a fork chain that chooses proof of work over proof of stake, there is no utility for this. This is not worth anything. You cannot redeem it for Ethereum. That doesn't mean there won't be speculation costs and such thing as a short squeeze because other traders will be like, oh, this is worth nothing. There is no backing. Let's short it. And if they over leverage and they don't have the money to stay afloat, well, that can cause cascading liquidations and a short squeeze for a quick price pump. A second strategy would be longing Ethereum before the merge. Why is that? Well, if people are like, wait, if there is a fork and I get free money if I hold Ethereum in my wallet, it's a free airdrop. I'm just going to go ahead and buy a bunch of ETH and then get free ETH on the new chain and dump it and sell it for a regular Ethereum. Yes, that is a strategy you guys can use, but keep in mind external market conditions can say a different story, and you also have to factor in it will be a rush for the exits if people are looking to lock in their profits. Now also keep in mind, with a fork, you don't only get Ethereum on both chains, you actually get the ERC20s as well. So if you're holding some ERC20s like Compound, Aave, Curve Token, Synthetics, it will also be duplicated in addition to the ETH. A third strategy is shorting Ethereum after the merge. Now there is a chance that this backfires because everyone else would be doing the same thing, creating a short squeeze, which could cause it to pump. But in theory, if people are rushing for the exits, selling to capitalize on profits, they would want to sell their Ethereum. Me personally, what I expect the token to do is look like a yield farming coin and go down over time, as you see with Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum Classic. So a long-term play to this would be if there is a quick short pump into the Ethereum proof of work token, would be shorting the token and buying it back at much cheaper prices. Keep in mind the risks involved with this, especially if you're taking on leverage. You can get liquidated. The price of the ETH proof of work token can theoretically go to infinity, and the lowest it can ever go is 0. So shorting is dangerous, but if you know what you're doing, you can capitalize with it. The fourth strategy is borrowing ETH right before the fork. Since ETH is considered the apex asset, similar to how the ETC token is on Ethereum Classic, if you borrow ETH right before a potential fork, you would have that ETH you just borrowed also on the new chain. Sure, you could have lent out some USDC and USDT on the main chain right before it, but remember, the centralized tokens will be worth nothing, so they will get liquidated over there, but you borrowed a bunch of ETH, so now you just have a bunch of ETH. These are not the only ways you can play the market. These are just a few of them that you guys can use. And before we end this video, I want to leave you guys with these 3 things. The first, centralized tokens like USDC and USDT will basically go to 0. Second, all of the ERC20s that are in your wallet will be forked onto the new chain. Now, whether they have value or not will be determined by the market. For the most part, they will not have monetary value. And the Apex token on the Ethereum proof of work chain would be ETH, similar to how ETC is for Ethereum Classic. Third, if you're holding NFTs, make sure you guys abide by the tips I gave earlier in this video. Fourth, manage your debt accordingly with different DeFi protocols, especially around the stablecoins being out of whack. If you guys are wanting to trade some of the coins for the upcoming ETH merge, there will be several tokens listed on KuCoin. KuCoin will take care of all of the upgrades, so you won't have to worry about upgrading your tokens. Here are some of the coins that are associated with the merge. You have ETH, of course. You have Anchor, you have ETH2, you have Lido, Ethereum Classic, you have Polygon, you have Optimism, you have ENS, GMT, the Hive Bored Ape tokens, Mana, Sand, Hypunks, Axis, Ape, and several other DeFi tokens. I'll leave a link in the description below so you guys can check out all the details on this. Also, from an August 10th announcement from KuCoin, KuCoin is aware of the potential hard fork and uncertainties. KuCoin will closely monitor the community and the fork upcoming. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the KuCoin YouTube channel as well as on other social media platforms so you guys are staying up to date. Let's go ahead and hit you guys with a wisdom one-liner. Proverbs chapter 12 verses 10. The righteous care for their needs of their animals, but the kindest acts of the wicked are cruel. Oof, that's rough. Be good to them animals. Thanks for watching this KuCoin DigiDive. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below telling me what you guys think of the potential fork for Ethereum. And if you guys want to get started trading, links in the description below to get 20% off trading fees, baby. See you guys in the next one.